It was great.
I think what I'm most proud of is using all this, everything in here is him, it's not me. The color, the shape, design is me, but the language on the walls is him.
It's great.
It's all his language, not mine. And that's hard to capture.
Why don't you take us through and give us a little tour?
Yeah, sure, we sure can. Thanks. So here we are, beginning, right? Here he is as a young man, and we have this pop of color here with all the places he served.
I love
as
this.
Ambassador. Yeah, it's a nice way to start with that young place and the flag kind of interspersed behind. But then we turn left, and here he is as a young man in the Virgin Islands. Even the picture of him is a young man in the Virgin Islands.
Stands out, yeah.
I think it's important to tell this part, though, again, in his own language, because it, those early years form who we are. Without them, we don't become the people that we grow into, I don't think. So the Virgin Islands was definitely in him throughout his life. And you can see I use context. When you can't ever do things flat on walls with curation, if you do, people aren't grabbed by it. So, using something like this that's transparent with language on it and it comes out a little bit, I think it grabs the eye a little more.
I like it.
Something flat. Thank you. And we move this way, and you know what? When I did this, so I researched for about 4 or 5 months about his life because I didn't know who he was. I saw his name in a couple of places. And so after learning who he was, then I kind of started putting pen to paper. What are the stories we wanted to tell? They're legacy stories. That's kind of what I had in my head. What are the legacy? Well, his civil rights and human rights record. That's a legacy of his. So, going to Washington and making the State Department see what they needed to change is massive. Nobody did that before. People pretty much just fell in line and did what they were told to do. And Ambassador Todman said, I'm not going to do that. We have to do something differently. So, again, all his own language and pictures of him in the earlier parts of his career.
There were only 2 Black Americans in Washington in '52.
It's crazy to think that, isn't it? It's such a
Crazy.
different world. The only thing that I would say is more mine is the mural. I wanted something that kind of pulled the room together in a special way. And I always kind of thought of him as maybe other. He's the other in the room of all this sea of white faces.
I love it.
I think that kind of captures partly who he is there.
Oh, I did get your gift. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir. You don't have to give me.
No, I got you. No, you got me this.
Oh, that one I brought back from Mexico City.
I got it
That's
from
right.
you. Thank you.
Oh, of course.
So I got it from Marcella.
Yeah, we were there 3 weeks ago.
I remember people saying to me, here's your son. And I say, I'm a son. You gotta be kidding.
Yeah, imagine somebody coming in your office and saying that. I mean, that's really struck me. We're here to see Mr. Todman, and he's an African American. They say, you're kidding, you're not this person. It's hard to imagine. I didn't grow up in that world. It's a different world. So he, the impact he had on state is a big deal to us as a bureau. And then right behind us, we have kind of the art of his career, and that's kind of how I captured it with the backlit images. And actually, I had a lot more, and then I realized there were too many images, and we had to kind of make it less. But the people on here, there's 3 presidents on here. There's a king. There's a first lady. These massive moments in a big career. And I captured it with the sun because I thought that's Argentina. It's
perfect. That's a great one.
It kind of made sense to me.
And she also had a relationship with Argentina.
Yeah.
And we're also on John Kennedy Boulevard.
The Bosch family.
Yeah, the Bosch family. And she came here after the assassination. And we're trying to get that Kennedy statue, which I'm still working on. So political labor, officer in Tunisia.
Not beginning of his career.
Then he
shoots up immediately, almost.
So where was this at, this picture?
Well, we're going to imagine it's like probably 60 is my guess, 61 maybe, can't be passed.
That's great.
Another president. There's his first posting as an ambassador to Chad.
Wow.
And then Guinea. And then he decides, he said to the State Department, I just don't want to serve in Africa. I'm not going to do that. If you want me to do that, I'm the wrong guy for it. And so they changed his trajectory because of that. And he takes Costa Rica and then moves on to different things. But if he didn't push that, they would have sent him to the African continent his whole career.
But also to be so young, to be an ambassador at the State Department, not many ambassadors get so many posts.
They sure do. I mean, that's probably says something to his intellect, doesn't it?
Right, and then he had WHA,
Yeah, another big job.
big job.
Now, every single one of them was from the beginning to the end. And what I did
And
here,
this was under Jimmy Carter,
that is Dr.
and this is during the junta down here.
Sure is.
So it was a really difficult time in Argentina and in Chile and in Brazil, and then he ends up coming down here after the junta. So it was really interesting. And then he goes to Spain with the king. Wow.
Yeah, some of these images are powerful. You know?
4 years in
All
Spain.
these world leaders and Bush 40.
And then how did he spend 6 years in Denmark?
Yeah,
That's
they
crazy.
extended.
And then he spent the 4 years down here. And he stayed in the Bosch Palace, and a lot of the ambassadors would move out when the president came, but he stayed in his room, and he stayed in the George H.W. Bush room.
He had a
Hey,
good
you
reputation.
still haven't delivered a plaque yet for this. That's number 2.
There's number 2.
Okay.
And the last part, kind of, for the legacy was this gift of language. It impressed me almost immediately.
Yeah.
Because they're not simple languages. They're Japanese, and Hindustani, and Danish, and Arabic.
That's
And-
amazing. So 6 languages.
And he cleared them quickly. He got out before they were finished. And again,
He
here's
speaks
all.
Finnish also? Just kidding.
Before.
Sorry. So he speaks Japanese, Spanish, Arabic, Hindustani, Danish, and English.
And English, yeah. And apparently could read, write, and was fluent, totally fluent in them after 2 years of study. That impressed me to no end. But again, here's all his own words about how he felt about the languages and how he used them to be a better diplomat.
That's great.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm most proud of in here is the use of his own words.
So he spoke Spanish as a kid.
As a
That was
native,
easier.
right? That was a native.
Arabic.
And what most people say is an incredibly hard one.
Yeah.
And Hindustani the same.
Very hard.
Very hard. Japanese, really hard. Far-flung languages. It's the whole planet. You know, it encompasses the whole planet. These language skills, which most people can't.
Why did he learn Hindustani?
Well, he served in India.
Okay. Where was that? We don't have it on here, but okay.
We don't have it on there, but yeah, he did. Probably it was. Well, there's Martin Luther King in the image, so he was
before
King's
68.
escort. Yeah, he was King's escort in India.
Wow.
Which, wow, a moment in history, right? I remember thinking that as well. You know what? I don't recall how that whole service worked. I don't.
Yeah.
He might have just been there for this, but.
Wow.
And I talked to my friends at that library there, and I said, hey, do you have any negative roles of the images? And they said, yeah, sure, Joe. So he's with the
This
Danish
is
Foreign
great.
Minister there and Reagan, yeah. And we finished up sort of where we began with the poem, Possible Journey from. Apparently he was fond of throughout his entire life. Yeah. And I thought it was important to do in Spanish since we're.
The only thing I want to do is I want to take this color
Yeah.
gray
Yeah.
and redo this wall out here.
We can
with
do
that
it.
gray
Let's do
because
it.
you can't read.
No, the white doesn't pop as well.
It doesn't pop. I want to
100%.
redo it. I've talked to John Crippen about that before. So, did you work with him here?
No.
No. So y'all.
They just knew
No.
each other socially, correct?
Well, what happened is in the 70s, she was a model and she went to shooting and advertising in the Virgin Islands.
I see.
And then they become friends. And I live in the Virgin Islands.
You did.
For the last 30 something years. So,
Yeah.
and I met him, and I also, my neighbor was one of his best friends, Clive, and I
Got
used
it.
to get dogs.
So you're here as friends of the family.
Yes.
So what do you think of this?
I love it. I love it. Well, when I see St. Thomas and him, it's just, it's nice. It's nice that, you know, a person who was born where you live and becomes so. He changed a lot when he was the ambassador here. He did good.
Yeah,
he
he did.
did things that some people were not happy, but he was strong. Even with his, he did major changes here.
Yeah. And where you live now?
St. Thomas,
St. Thomas.
Virgin Islands.
And you were raised in St. Thomas?
Here.
Are you?
I raised here, went to
You're
school here.
Porteña?
Yes, I'm Porteña.
Okay. You
She's
still have
my
family?
mom.
Okay. And where do you live now?
Here.
Okay.
close here.
Oh, good.
Coronel Díaz y Libertador.
Oh, very good.
Yes, I go walking.
Very good. Very nice. And so it's a great connections. And we still have employees here who worked when
Worked
he
with
was
him.
there. Actually,
Wow.
when we do the dedication, I'll probably have them raise their hands and you can
Wow.
meet them.
Because that was 20 years ago.
Jorge recommended you, sir.
What?
30.
Jorge.
You were here.
Yeah, I started
Wow.
working here while he was.
What was your position there? Photographer?
No. It's like a mailroom, but
Mailroom?
for USIA, so it's a distribution office.
Yeah. Very
I know
good.
him.
Was he nice?
Yes, it's right, but it's nice. Yeah.
Very straight,
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
firm, very
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah. Exactly. Serious.
Not a nerd like me.
You're much funny.
I played a Dia del Inocente joke on the staff, and he would never have done that.
I don't know. I don't know. I saw another
Here he was.
side.
It's
Yeah.
more
Yeah,
like-
when he was ambassador, he was very serious because also being the first black ambassador, he had to be. People would judge him in a different way than
I'm
they
sure.
judge me
I'm
in
sure.
certain
Yes.
ways.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Although I get judged in different ways too. I'm the first Jewish ambassador, but as the first black ambassador, people would judge him in different ways. He had to prove
Definitely.
himself, and particularly when he was ambassador to Chad in 1969, being a black man from the United States, people are always judging him one way. And
Yeah,
then
coming
Guinea,
from the Virgin
and then
Islands also.
and Costa Rica, coming from the Virgin Islands. When he had to integrate the cafeteria, you tell me it's time to go? So- Yes, okay.
We just want to get a live photo.
Say again?
We just want to get a group photo real quick.
Group photo over here, okay.
Photo with us.
Here, yeah, let's get one with them and then we would
Yeah.
love for you to join.
All right, group photo.
Okay, let's.